Welcome back to Over the Edge podcast. Today we have a special guest who is very much a big deal. Wait, let me just tell you a little bit about her. DeNeitra Burnett is the CEO and founder of Savvy Creative Agency, a full-service marketing agency specializing in luxury immersive brand experiences. Under her leadership, Savvy has become a top experiential agency, serving brands like Netflix, Google, NBC Universal, TikTok, Disney, Clinique, BET, and La Roche-Posay. Recognized by BizBash as one of the nation's most influential event planners, DeNeitra ensures cultural relevance and meticulous detail in every project. With an MBA from CSU San Bernardino and a BA in communications from Howard University, she is inspired by her husband and two sons and is driven to show that hard work knows no limits. DeNeitra, welcome to the podcast.
Hello, Paige. It's so funny hearing my bio. It never gets easier to hear that I've done all of these
major humongous, like your work, your career, your business is the dream for people. It's the blueprint. Like that's what people aspire to when they start out. And so let's just start by talking about like, what is it like to have built such an incredible, huge business?
You know what? It doesn't feel real a lot of the time. I tell my husband often, I feel like I'm living inside of my dreams. Like I keep waiting to wake up and I'm like, is this real? Like I've built this. Anytime I come into my studio, I'm like, we have a studio where we create and I have a team. And it just doesn't, I don't know, but I like that. I like that I'm still so excited about it and that it doesn't feel real. I like that because it keeps me driven. It keeps me going. I never get comfortable.
Okay, so
I like that.
That's really interesting because like after accomplishing all of these major things, like what is next? Like this sounds like it would be an end of the interview question, but let's just start with like what even comes next after doing such major things?
I want to continue to grow my team and continue to scale so that I'm not so in the business. Like I'm going to always be the CEO. I'm here. I'm the face of the company. My clients like to work with us because of me, but I want to embody my team to be able to do a lot more without me having to be so in it. So I can actually go on a vacation and truly unplug. We're going to Hawaii next week for our end of summer vacation with our kids. And I'm like, since my husband and I work together, we still have work to do. Like we still have calls that we have to be on. I look forward to continuing to grow the team where we can actually truly unplug when we go away.
So how do you make that step from being in the business to be like, and so I know there's like a balance that happens when you're doing CEO time and doing work in the business. How do you make that step? Because it sounds like you're already like a really fully embodied CEO.
Yeah.
Or tell me if I'm, yeah.
I feel like I'm still, it's a learning. Like every day I'm learning something new. I'm learning to fully trust my team. They're capable. They're able to do things without me, and just really kind of giving them the autonomy to be able to do what I hired them to do and trust that they can do what I pay them to do, you know? So that's more of a me thing and not a them thing. Like they can do it. I have to be okay with saying, okay, I've hired them. They're capable. If they have questions, they know they can ask, but I just have to kind of let go a little bit. And I haven't quite figured out how to let go.
Okay, so that's part of my question. Okay, so I have a two-part question. What is the hardest thing when you're like making that shift into a fully embodied CEO? What is the hardest thing to let go of, and what's the most exciting thing that comes in when you do?
Yes. So I feel like the hardest thing to let go of is just the control. Like I am very type A, like I like things done a certain way because I've done this for so long. And this business is truly, it's my first baby. Like I started this in 2009. And so we've grown together. The business has grown, I have grown. And so it's hard to let go in certain areas, but it's also like I have my assistant treasurer she is a treasure. Like her name is truly who she is. When she just responds to things and I'm like, oh, I was going to respond to that, but that's her job and she
Mhm.
did it and I don't have to do it. It's kind of nice. It's like,
Amazing.
oh, treasurer has that taken care of. So
Mhm.
I don't have to do it.
Mhm.
I really enjoy that. So it's just, so that's one of the joys of letting go, I guess,
Mhm.
and allowing my team to kind of do their thing is that it gives me a moment to not feel like I have to do everything. You know,
Wow.
I don't know
Yeah.
how I did it before I had a team, like not very well, I'm
Mhm.
sure. You know, I got it done, but it was also, I got it done at the detriment of my mental health. I
Mhm.
got it done and at the detriment of really like relationships that didn't work because I was so just 24/7 on.
Yeah.
So it's nice to kind of step into being a CEO and like step into trusting people to do what I need them to do.
Okay, so you started Savvy in 2009, so
Yeah.
15 years ago. Can
Yeah.
you take us through your
Wow.
story of like starting Savvy and
Yeah.
like how you built it into something so incredible?
So I started Savvy while I was getting my MBA from Cal State San Bernardino, and I got my MBA with an emphasis on entrepreneurship. And so we had to start a business in the class, in one of my classes. And so I knew I liked parties. I'm like, okay, I could do this. I had a friend of a friend who was getting married, and she hired me to do her wedding. I think I charged her, God, I want to say it was like $750 back then to be her day of wedding coordinator. And I did the wedding. I loved it. I was like, this is awesome. It was crazy. It was like so much like energy. And so I did that. My mom helped me, my aunt helped me. It was like a family affair. And then I started posting I started at Savvy Events. Back then, my company was called Savvy Events. And I started posting on Craigslist. And that's how we started getting clients initially. Lawrence, my husband Lawrence found one of our early contracts and I charged for full planning $2,000. Said I need to frame it in my office. Like I made $2,000 and I was young, you know, 15 years ago, I was a young thing back then. And so that's how I started in weddings. And I did weddings until 2019 was my last wedding. I was able to pivot into doing brand events in addition to weddings in 2016. One of my former clients, Marlena Estelle, she's the CEO of Makeup Geek Cosmetics. She gave me an opportunity to start doing her influencer events. And so we produced about 8 influencer events for her over the years. And that opened my portfolio and expanded my portfolio. And then we started doing other influencer events. So we got La Roche-Posay. We've been with them since 2018, I believe, was our first event with La Roche-Posay. And now we work with Clinique as well. We work with BET, TikTok. So it has just grown and evolved over the years. I feel like if you do good work, it shows. I'm really big on making sure that we showcase our body of work on our website and in our capabilities deck. And that's kind of the evolution of like growing from weddings into transitioning into brand and corporate
Mhm.
events.
What is one thing that like somebody who is looking at your business and looking at everything that you've done and they're going, "Oh my gosh, I really hope that I'm able to be so accomplished one day." What is one lesson that you've learned over these years that you would pass on?
You know, I did a call earlier this week with a recent grad who wanted to pick my brain on like my career journey. And I told her what I believe is the most important thing is your relationships.
Mm,
Relationships are so important.
mhm,
I can't stress it enough. And if we talk about how I got into the mailer, like doing press mailers, it was literally because of a relationship. I
mm,
reached out to someone I went to Howard with. She worked at Netflix, and this was
mm.
back in 2018. And I said, do you have anyone in the events department you can introduce me to? Like, I really want to do entertainment events. Like, can you intro me to someone? And so this girl's name is Lane. Lane introduced me to Kelly Hill. She was at Netflix at the time. And Kelly was over their events, multicultural, I think, or maybe publicity events. Anyway, I started a relationship with Kelly. I'd send her holiday gifts every year. I'd shoot her emails And Kelly's thing was, I can't give you an opportunity at Netflix right now because you don't have the entertainment experience yet. And I would want you to shine because you would be a reflection of me. If I bring you on, like, so that matters. But she stayed in touch with me. And I stayed in touch with her over the years. And then Kelly gave my information to someone on her team in 2020 when the pandemic hit. And someone on her team, Vanessa, reached out to me and asked me if we could do a press mailer for them. And that is how we got into this whole press mailer world. If it were not for the relationship I had with Lane, that I could reach out to her, and then the relationship Lane had where she introed me to Kelly, I just cannot stress enough. Relationships are important. They matter. And I recommend cultivating them. Even if someone doesn't give you an opportunity at that time, like with Kelly, like I started reaching out to her in 2018. Nothing happened until 2020, but she knew my name. I was top of mind, and it's all because of a relationship, So that is the key advice I give people looking to grow, looking to break into a new industry. Even your relationships are so important.
I love that. And it's so true. Like last year was for me, my business was pretty rough in 2023. And the thing that kept it going was relationships and referrals. Like I'm so beyond grateful. It's so true.
People have to kind of get out of their own head because even now, it's so funny. We just got an email from a prospective client who wants to work with us. I have been pitching this dude literally since 2021. And
oh my gosh.
Saying, I'm trying to find the right opportunity for you. I'm trying to find the right opportunity for you. I got an email, I want to say it was like 10 o'clock last night. He's like, hey, you're going to hear from such and such on my team tomorrow. They've already emailed me and we have a call scheduled for today for an event that's in 2 weeks. Gosh. Relationships, people, like I cannot stress it enough how essential they are. Yeah.
That's okay. So, and I think that's such a good lesson too, because like, so I'm really shy and I always worry that like, I'm like bugging people, right?
Same.
Yes. Okay. So how do you move past that feeling?
I mean, I feel like at the end of the day, it's business. Like you have a business, you have, like for me, I think I have my kids' tuition. I've got a mortgage to pay. I have a team now. Like, and payroll comes around real quick. Every 2 weeks, payroll has to be done. And so I have to just get out of my head. And I get, pitches all the time, like companies that want to work with me. It's the ones that are persistent where I'm like, okay, dude, we can jump on a call. Like we can get on a call, and we can see if there's synergy. We can see if their body of work is in alignment with what we produce. And so I say you just have to stay persistent and you just have to get out of your head. If somebody is truly not interested, I think they will let you know, like you can stop like emailing, like, thank you, but no, thank you. And people are busy. So if you sent an email last month, they may have been on a project. They may have had a campaign they were working on and they didn't have time to respond. So I always just jump back in like, hey, just circling back with you. I know we're all really busy right now, but just let me know when you have a moment, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, just so we can like chat. And I try to keep it short and to the point, but I keep reaching out.
Okay. I love that. I'm going to write it down and put it on a sticky note and look at it every day to remind myself.
About you, like, you have to get out of your head. Like the other people aren't thinking like you're thinking. They're like,
it's true.
They're getting so many, we're all inundated with our email box being so full. And so just keep shooting your shot. I feel like you have to shoot your shot. And then if they finally say, no, I am not interested. Okay, cool. But thank you. Because and I think I learned that early in my career. I started as a community outreach specialist at a nonprofit a million years ago. And so we would ask for donations, we would ask for like money. And the worst thing that someone can say is no. And if you get a no, okay, thank you so much. And you go on to the next person, at some point. And I talk about this a lot when I pitch. Like I tell my team, like, here's our pitch list. We're going to pitch these people. Some people will say no, but the right people will say yes. And the right people will want to schedule a call. And that's literally all you can do is just like keep pitching, keep putting yourself out there, and the right people will say yes. And even if they don't say yes in the moment, like this guy that I've been pitching at this like big entertainment company finally emailed me back last night. Well, and told me like, we have a project for you. So persistence pays off.
Mhm. Oh, I love that. And I hope everybody who's listening like really takes that to heart.
Yeah.
Can we talk about your mailers? Because your mailers are something that you're known for.
Yeah.
And those are the mailers that like people really want to be on the list for.
Yeah. That's right. Don't I know it? I get the emails.
I love that. Okay, so when you're thinking of, when you're conceptualizing, and I guess this is the same question I have like for your events and your activations, when you are thinking of the concept and the design and the art of it all and the interaction that it's going to have with the people that are interacting with it, how do you do that? Like, can you take us through your own
Yeah.
like creative process?
With the mailers, so we literally were thrown into this. Like, this is not something I went to school and studied. Like, it's so much different than events. Like, it's still creating an experience, but packaging is its own world. Like, I knew nothing of packaging before 2020, September of 2020. Actually, I'm coming up on 4 years
Wow.
since I did my first mailer. And so typically, if we're doing a mailer for a film or a TV show, the client will give us access to a screener.
Mhm.
And so we're watching the screener, not because it's like, oh, I really want to watch this movie. It's watching it and studying it. It's what is the main character constantly like drinking? Like, is there a particular color that she wears? Is there a phrase that she says? Can we use music from the soundtrack in the box? So when you open the box, it like plays audio. Can
Oh,
we put the screener inside of the mailer, like in a like for video format? And so we're thinking of all of these things, like as far as contents are concerned, like what makes the most sense.
mhm.
And so that's how we build our boxes from contents out. So
Mm.
we'll watch the screener and we'll say, okay, it's, a high school football, film. What if we did a jersey and we customized all of the jerseys with the client's, logo, and then we do the recipient's name on the back,
Mhm.
because people love a wearable moment. Um, so we that's how we kind of come up with like the contents that go inside of it, and then we design the packaging. Like, do we want something that opens in a cool way? Do we want to have layers where they remove the top layer and then there's like a surprise at the bottom? um and so I don't do all of this on my own. I have a team. I have a full-time graphic designer, and then Lawrence is our COO. He helps. My EA helps, our project coordinator. It's a whole team effort, and we're a small team.
Mhm.
So we'll all come together and we'll say, what if we did this? What if we did that? And then, we talk to our fabricator about different materials that we can use. We did a box recently for Peacock for a show, the McBee Family Dynasty.
Mhm.
And it's like on the farm, and it's like, what can we do for like the material? So we found a faux cowhide material that is like, the texture is just like, it looks like cowhide, and
Uh-huh.
it's a material that we found. And so we wrapped the box in that, and then the interior was like a faux leather. It just was so stunning.
Mhm.
And when we tracked the social engagement of it, somebody said like, this is the best mailer I have ever received. And so we get that a lot because, you can easily send a shipper box with, shred in it. We don't do
Mhm.
that. We elevate the experience. And
Mhm.
so I think that's why so many of our clients continuously come to us, because they know the quality that they're going to get,
Mhm.
and the experience that the end user is going to get when they open it.
Oh, that is so cool. It's an entire world to like step into
Yeah.
your mailers. Oh, that's incredible.
Thank
I love
you.
that. Can we talk about your team and like how you brought together a team that you feel like is supportive and like incredible and it's everyone's on the same page? How do you
Yeah.
go about building a team like that?
It was very hard. Lots
Mhm.
of trial and error. So last year I went through two executive assistants.
Mhm.
The first I fired after the first week.
Wow.
I just knew she was a
Mhm.
completely different person in person, like working with her, than she was in the interview. And so I was very quick to say, this is not going to work. Thank you. Godspeed. The second one, I knew also that I should have fired her sooner, but I didn't. And she ended up quitting. Anyway, it was a whole process. But at the time I had a coach, Heather Crabtree, was my business strategist and coach. And she helped me with the interview process. We hired an HR consultant who helped us. So first round was the HR consultant. Second round was Heather. And Heather only sent them to me if she thought they were the one. And then Lawrence and I did the final round. I ended up finding an EA treasurer who is just, like I said, she is a treasure. She is amazing. She's so level-headed. She's direct, but she's kind. She asks very good questions. And that's the thing I love, like, please ask questions because you don't know what you don't know. And I feel like the former EAs, they just tried to like do it, but then you just do it and you're doing it wrong. So I need you to ask questions. like I just need you to ask. And so that's how we got Treasure on. And then who else do we have? We have Ashley, who is our designer. Amazing. Like, I really lucked out like with finding these people because she is just, again, she takes constructive criticism. She doesn't take anything personal. Because like with design, and I tell our clients this, if you don't like this, it's not going to hurt my feelings. Like, I'm not going to take it personal. At the end of the day, the client has to be pleased with the work that we're presenting to them. And so Ashley will go back to the drawing board. She'll remock something up. She'll relay it out and there's no problem. It just gets done. And I love that. And then we have Lawrence, who is my husband and business partner. I want to fire him probably like every other day. And he wants to, every other day, he's like, I quit. And I'm like, you're not going anywhere, bro. But he has just been so supportive over the years with the business. So he came on full time in 2020 after with COVID. And then when we started doing the mailers, I couldn't do the mailers by myself. We had a newborn and a 4-year-old, and we needed all hands on deck. And so he has been like instrumental in the growth of the business. And he is very client facing. And so he works directly with the clients. He's the money man. He has no problem with saying, hey, run me my money. I don't like to be the money person. Let me be the creative. Let me like create. I don't want to ask you for my money. And then we have Rebecca, who is part-time, and we have Lauren, who is part-time also. They're project coordinators and they help with the events as well. I feel very good about the team we have right now.
That's
I feel
amazing.
like we have a solid team and everyone is we just get along and it's good work. And I don't say we're a family. I don't think you're family with the people you work with, but we like each other and we all vibe and we get work done.
I love that. How long did it take you to build, like from first searching for your first team member to where you are now? How long did that take?
So first full-time person was Ashley, our designer, and then treasurer. And then me and Lawrence have been, full-time, and we actually pay ourselves, which is really nice to get paid on payroll.
Yes. Oh my gosh.
But the goal is to continue to grow. Like I need somebody who's directly under me, who's like me, but not me.
Yeah.
So they can do more of the client facing things and it gives me and Lawrence the opportunity to like also have a life outside of the business. Because right now we don't really have a life outside of Savvy. Savvy it's like one and the same, like it's kind of all encompassing. And so it would be nice as we continue to grow, to bring on more like executive leadership that can help.
Oh, that's exciting. So, okay, speaking of, you mentioned that you have a family and so how do you figure out you're running this big deal business and you're an incredible mom? How do you I hesitate to use the word balance because I seriously doubt that it ever feels like fully balanced. So how do you figure everything out?
I mean, it's a lot of trial and error. There's a lot of it's hard sometimes because we have a full-time nanny and she is literally my children's second mother. I tell her that Mother's Day, they get me a gift. They get Miss Ashley a gift because we couldn't do what we do without her. But there is some like guilt that comes with that as well, because she's with them so often, you
Mhm.
know? And so there's certain things that me and Lawrence miss. But we have to work to give them the life that we are creating for them. And I'm just grateful that we have, and we can have the help, you
Mhm.
know? And so, but we couldn't do any of it without Ashley. Like Ashley is she's amazing. And so having a support system is so important. Our kids
Mhm.
come here, they come to the studio. My 8-year-old Isaiah was just here the other day. He likes to sweep downstairs in the warehouse and he makes his money. Um, it's like I always ask him, like, what is mommy, like, what do we do? He's like, you guys do boxes and you plan parties. I'm like, yeah, that's what we do. Or anytime we're like driving and he sees a billboard for a show that we've worked on, he's like, mommy, that's your show. And I'm like, well, not really my show, but like we created, you know, we're a part of the campaign that like amplifies the show. And so it's really exciting to see them. They've been with us in the business since the very beginning. So they've seen us grow. And I think it's going to teach them,
Mhm.
you know, resilience and hard work pays off.
Mhm.
And so even though there is, you know, guilt mixed in with just like, but they get to see their mommy and their
Mhm.
daddy growing something and like
Mhm.
having a team and like, it's just, I think it's a beautiful thing that they get to experience it with us.
Mhm. So if you were talking to moms and like giving advice on figuring it all out, especially day to day,
Yeah.
what advice would you give?
I mean, structure is important. I still don't have that figured out all the way, but like as
Mhm.
the school year is getting ready to approach again, it's like you have to have a structure because kids like thrive on structure.
Mhm.
And so, and then it makes your life easier. So if I know that during the week we're having dinner at 6, they're taking baths, and then they're in that bed at 8 o'clock,
Mhm.
that gives me and Lawrence an opportunity to watch a show, to
Mhm.
sit down for a second, you know? So like really trying to like structure your days in a way that it still leaves time for yourself,
Mhm.
because it's so easy to like, if we let them go to bed late, then it's like our whole day has just been work, kids, and then like there's no time for you. There's
Yeah.
no time for you to just like sit and just have a moment and have like an adult conversation
Mhm.
that isn't about a mailer or an event or a client call. So I think structure is important. And then also just showing yourself grace. We're all doing the best that we can.
Mhm.
And I have to be here working so that I can provide them with the private school, with their nanny, with this trip to Hawaii next week. You know what I mean? Like we're giving
Yeah.
them, our kids have access to so much that I didn't have as a child. And it wouldn't be possible without having the career that I have.
That's beautiful.
Thank
Wow.
you.
Can we talk about the art of it all in terms of like, I'm really curious what inspires you. Like when we talk about your creative process, like what is the exciting part about the art or the creativity or like the inspiration? Is there anywhere you're going to pull inspiration from? Like you talked about the actual material itself, like the
Yeah.
actual subject of it. Are there any like artists or other events that you look at that you're like, that inspires me, that makes me feel excited?
Yeah. So actually funny, I have a Kahindi Wiley basketball over here that we use for a
Wow.
project, and then a beautiful Kahindi Wiley painted plate. Just seeing like the
Wow.
colors that he uses, and they're so vibrant and they're so beautiful. So I mean, I'm always inspired by Kahindi. I think he's just like a phenomenal artist. But then also like behind me, like I have so much like Black art on my wall. So it's like the vibrancy, I think, of the imagery.
Mhm.
But then also I'm inspired by whatever the like, if it's a show that's coming out, like, and I watch it and I'm like, oh wow, like that this was a really cool usage of like, I think we did a project for Ma Rainey for Netflix. That was one of our second project with Netflix. And in the show, they drink Coke, like old school Coke out of like a bottle. And she fanned herself with this particular fan. And so it was just like beautiful to see like the fan, and it had like texture. So I like different, like playing with different textures and materials. I feel like it creates like a special experience, and it's not just like a standard, you know, box. So
Mhm.
for our mailers, and then for our events, also just like looking at a client's like color story, looking at their brand guidelines and seeing like, oh wow, they're like, we just did an event for BET,
Mhm.
and they use such vibrant colors and like different shapes and patterns. And so it was like, well, how can we do like incorporate this into like the design
Mhm.
of one of our builds? And we were able to do that and had like different textures, and then we did it dimensional, so it's like some were coming out, and we just get to have fun with it, you
Yeah.
know. We also travel a lot to Mexico. Lawrence and I, we probably go to Mexico, I think 4 times a year, because it's so
Mhm.
quick to get there. And it's like
Mhm.
anytime we have downtime, it's like, okay, we can go to Cabo or Puerto Vallarta really quick.
Mhm.
Just seeing just like the different like tiles and like
Mhm.
materials, and I feel like I get inspired by traveling and seeing like fashion even.
Mhm.
Like being here in LA, if you go to the Grove and you see all of the different women and like what they're wearing, or like the dudes, like the cool like sneakers they're wearing. It's just, I feel like you can get inspiration, or I get inspiration just from everywhere.
Oh yeah. That's one thing I love about being in Los Angeles is
Yeah.
it's so many creatives, so many artists. And I feel like here in Los Angeles specifically, as opposed to like I love New York artists too, but I feel like
Yeah.
people are very experimental in Los Angeles. And
Yeah.
that's to me really cool.
I think we have to. We're like the entertainment hub, you know, like the
Mhm.
industry is here, the people are here. And so, you know, or even just watching, like I'm obsessed with like Selling Sunset and
Mhm.
like all of the real estate shows, just like watching those, like, oh wow, what did they do with this house? Like, look at how like the architecture is, or like look at that wallpaper that they use. Like there's
Mhm.
so many different like ways to get inspired. So
Mhm.
I love going to like look at model homes, and just like there's so much like inspiration you can gather that way.
Yes. I really love we're looking at houses, but we're like, right. So that's really fun. But also like, I love going to houses that like, I know are not, I'm not going to be putting a down payment on a $5 million house, but
Exactly.
going to
I
open
want to
houses
see what they
and need,
did.
exactly, exactly.
And that's the thing, because like when you go to look at these houses that are more expensive, also, it gives you the opportunity to dream a little bit, even if it's like,
Mhm.
okay, I can't buy a $5 million house today, but let
Mhm.
me see like the materials that they're using and
Yeah.
like the patterns. Like, so I feel like you can get inspired at least, and you can still take that and, you know, put it in your home somehow, you know?
Mhm.
There's ways that we can do that. And we do that a lot with our boxes. Like, I feel like I'm always trying to find like what's really cool, and how can my fabricator like get a material like that. Like we literally just got some material for boxes we're sending out from Germany. It's like this gosh, we wanted it to look like a picnic basket, and
Mhm.
so we were able to like get this really dope material, and he got it from Germany, and I'm like,
Wow.
that's so dope. That's so cool to me.
That is, and that's so incredible that like, I always just think it's so cool. Like, I like it's not. I didn't even know that it's possible to fathom all of the different types of like materials, textiles, patterns
Yep.
that are just around that are available in the world. Like anything you want,
Yep.
it's there. That's so cool. Okay, can we talk a little bit about how brand activations have really become such a central part of marketing for brands in the last, I feel like the last 5 years, but probably the last 10
Yeah.
years. I'm really curious what you think about like the evolution of that part of a brand's marketing and like what you like about the activations and what you see in the future for it.
So I feel like experiences are just like they want to create these immersive experiences for their guests. And it's because like think about it, people are going to these events, especially if you're like in LA or New York, there are different brand events all throughout the day. You
Mhm.
could go somewhere you know, with La Roche for brunch at 11, and then at night Clinique is having some type of event. And so I think brands recognize the power of the influencer events and the
Mhm.
power of like having very strong brand activations. And so I started doing influencer events in 2016. And so back then we did like cool stuff. It was still fun. It was still lots of florals, and you know, floral walls were such a big thing, I feel like back then. And now it's like the things that we're creating, like all of our clients, I feel like we did a video booth for BET recently, and people loved that thing. Like it's literally an 8x8, like enclosed booth with like their branding
Mhm.
everywhere. And then just seeing the people go inside of it and dance and party. And then our videographer is capturing this like really cool, like slow mo content. people shared those things across social like crazy.
Mm.
Or we have a portrait photographer that we work with, Michael Rowe. He is phenomenal. He does like the Grammy after parties and stuff and the Oscar after parties. But we brought Michael on for a couple of events and he does portraits of the guests.
Mhm.
We do a cool backdrop and then he's there and he's like, he has his lighting and his assistants and it's like a whole moment. But then the people get to feel like they are a celebrity when
Mhm.
even if they're not the celebrity, they're just like, a wonderful influencer. So they're a celebrity, in their own right, but they get to have these really cool portraits, but it's all because of the brand. The
Mhm.
brand is front and center. The brand is, their logo is there and people understand like, oh wow, I went to this cool BET event and look at what I got. Like I got this really cool like experience. So I'm trying to think of what's next for them. I think it's just going to be people are going to start having more events. I feel
Mhm.
like it was a little bit slow in the summer, but I'm telling you, in the last 3 days, we have gotten so many event inquiries. And I'm like, oh, y'all are ready for fall and winter. The time has come.
Yeah.
And so I think people are going to just start putting more money, I think more of their marketing dollars into
Mhm.
these events because they recognize the ROI. And then
Mhm.
they're going to start putting more money into the actual like activations.
Mhm.
So, and it's going to be more than just like a photo booth moment, more than just a video booth,
Mhm.
but like, I mean, of course, they care about like signature cocktails and like creating those experiences, but also having like makeup artists there who can walk you through like a tutorial if it's like a Fenty event or if it's a hair care event, having stylists on site to make sure that everybody gets like a little last minute touch up.
Mhm.
So just creating an experience within the experience. So it's fun. And I'm excited that I get to actually like do this stuff.
It's
It's
so
so much
cool.
different than doing weddings.
Do
So
you feel like the brand activations and events like this, and especially with influencers, do you feel like that's more powerful for brands in terms of like building customers or bringing in new customers or selling to old customers? Do you feel like that's more powerful than like traditional like advertising or even like posting on social media these days? What do you feel like is the most powerful thing a brand can do?
I feel like an influencer talking about a brand, like sharing the brand story. So being an advocate for the brand,
Mhm.
like that's so powerful because that is exposing the brand to so many more people than like a traditional, form of marketing. So I think you have to be strategic with your list. So that's like making sure that the brand is working with the right PR agency. We don't handle the guest list. We just handle the production and the design of the event, but making sure that whoever they have on their list is really going to advocate for the brand.
Mm.
You know what I mean? Like
Mhm.
you have to you're not going to invite a mommy blogger to, a BET event if there's no synergy there, there's no
Mhm.
connection. There has to be like correlation. And so inviting the right people to your events makes sense. Making sure that you're creating that immersive experience for them while they're there, and then making sure that you're gifting to them as they leave, or like making sure that you have some type of goodie that they're taking away with them that keeps your brand top of mind.
Mhm. I
Yeah,
love that. Before I ask my last question of the episode, tell us how people can find you, learn more about you, connect with you. Where can they find you?
for sure. So on Instagram, we're at Savvy Creative Agency _. And then you can also go to our website. It's www.savvycreativeagency.com. And I'd love to connect with you guys.
All of those links are going to be in the show notes for easy clicking. Definitely go check out the website too. Your website is stunning. It's
Thank
so
you.
beautiful. Okay, so the last question that I like to ask is the sliding doors question, which is basically asking, what is one small thing that's happened in your life that has made a huge difference, whether or not you expected it to?
Honestly, that email that I sent to Lane all those years ago asking for an introduction, I always tell Kelly Hill this, and I will give Kelly her flowers my entire life. She changed my life. So sending that email and keeping that relationship changed my life. And
Yeah.
so that's my sliding door moment. Because if I hadn't sent that email to
Mhm.
Lane asking for that introduction, I mean, there's no way I would be here today. So I'm forever grateful to both
Wow.
Lane and Kelly and Vanessa,
Mhm.
Victorian, who just opened doors for me. So yeah.
That's amazing. And it shows the power of the ask. I feel like we all
Yes.
like hold ourselves back from asking, just asking. And
Yep.
it can be so monumental to just shoot over a quick email and maybe just ask for a quick
Yep.
thing. That's
Yep.
incredible. How do
Thank
you,
you.
okay, so you also mentioned that like you have really nurtured a lot of your relationships over the years. When you think about like, oh, I'm going to shoot out an email and check in with this person or send a small gift, like how do you even go about like doing things like that? Because those are things that hold me back. Like those are things I want to do, but then I
Mhm.
get very in my head about it.
Yeah.
How do you do that?
You have to do it. Like even right
Mhm.
now, we're sending out an end of summer gift to
Mhm.
our partners and then people we want to work with. And so we've curated, of course, a beautiful box that we're going to send out to them. And even just like coming up with the list, because we're sending out 25. It's like I want to be strategic, but I also want to be authentic in giving like thanks and gratitude to the people who have helped me and the clients that continuously trust us. So I feel like, and then sometimes it doesn't have to be anything as big as the mailer we're sending. It can
Mhm.
literally, somebody just crossed my mind earlier this week. I sent him an email. Like, I don't want anything. I just wanted to say, hey, I hope you're doing well. Like, I just reaching out, you know, that means a lot to people because we're all so busy. Like, we're all
Mhm.
going. So just for somebody to know that they crossed your mind and you thought of them, I think that's so important to just share that. Like, I don't want anything. I don't need anything, just thinking about you. So I feel like we need to do that more often. And then just also just having like a heart and a spirit of gratitude to like former clients, current clients. I always try to let people know that I'm grateful and I appreciate, like I'm truly appreciative.
Mhm.
Because without my clients, I wouldn't be here. I wouldn't have a team. I would not have any of this. And so it's just like always making sure that I let people know that I'm grateful for them.
Mm.
That goes a long way.
While you were saying that, one of my like chimes went off, and
Uh-huh.
I love that it went off right as you were saying that. Like, I feel like it's a little emphasis, so
Yeah.
like a little underline from the universe being like,
Yeah.
listen to this.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, DeNeitra, thank you so much for being on the podcast today. I really appreciate your time and your expertise. Yeah, I'm so inspired by you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.